Welcome back to My Best Friend's an Engineer. I'm Lexi.
And I'm Libby. And we've got an awesome episode for you guys today. We are going to be talking a little bit about the transition from undergrad to post-grad. But before we get into that, how have you been, Lexi?
I've been good since I talked to you 2 days ago.
Yeah, right?
We'll see.
It's so funny how they, our listeners don't know when we're recording this, but, it's so off for us.
Yes. So we are recording this for some background right after the Q&A part 2. So there we talked about Aritzia, which I did go to this morning. I haven't tried anything on yet, but I
This morning?
Yeah. I did the shop, because I didn't have too much time. I just shopped and then I was like, okay, I'll return. I'll try on it at home and return. Oh, I did. I said I gotta go home. I was like, we have a podcast to record, so I said, time to go home. And then we had the Bulls game last night, which that was good. That was my first Bulls game. I think, so I think the last one I went to, I was 11 with my dad. So basically, I have never been to one because I don't remember that. But yeah, and then they got really close at the end of the game, so that was super fun. So then I suddenly became a basketball expert. I was like, oh my god, 3-pointer, how could you miss that?
Let's go!
So that was super fun. It was fun though, just hung out with high school friends, so it was good. And we just went home. It wasn't too crazy, but then I Aritzia this morning.
That's exciting.
And pretty chill other than that. How about you? What have you been up to?
I got my mop.
Nice. How was it?
I did, in fact, get a mop. I haven't used it yet. So there was this other mop I was gonna get, typical mops that you see that, I don't know, that people use at restaurants to clean floors, with all the stringies, little spaghetti string mop thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the dog.
Okay, so the one... the dog, those dogs.
Do you remember?
Okay, we're on the same page.
I visited you. Do you remember when I visited you and we saw that dog that literally looked like a mop? Remember we were walking to the
in Milwaukee?
Pizza place. No, in Lake Geneva. We were walking to the.
Yes.
Yes, that dog.
Oh
we saw a mop dog. I remember that though.
Okay, so that's the mop that I was going to get. It was a typical mop, and you put the water in the cleaning solution, then you squeeze it so that all the excess water comes out. But then I saw this other mop that was it was basically the Swiffer one where you can press a button and it has the solution attached to it. You press the button and it goes sprays out, and then you clean over it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I don't like my current Swiffer is because I don't like having to buy the pads or whatever, the cleaning things, the wet pad things that you have to put on the Swiffer.
Yeah.
Because I feel every time I go to mop or clean, I run out of them, and then I get so annoyed because I'm okay, so the new mop that I got has a washable pad thing. So I don't have to buy the Swiffer things. I can just take it off and throw it in the wash.
I think
just adulting thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is a perfect story for our episode today. Just, the transition from undergrad to college. Because I bet you did not get too excited about a mop in college. But honestly, you were a big cleaner. You did have your cleaning utensils. You were. You were going to. I feel like you knew.
I was.
Yeah. So I feel like you probably still would have gotten excited about a mop, but I feel like now it's just even more exciting just because you have your own house and everything. I don't know. But I feel like you were always really good at, knowing how to clean. I don't know. Just, the techniques and everything.
Well,
you're like, no, we can't do that. We can't use that.
With all the salt from the snow, we've been tracking the salt, all over our house, and then it, dries, on the ground. I feel like I'm being really bad at explaining this, but... So, yeah. Moral of the story is, I got my mop. I'm very excited about it. I also got tanning drops that I'm going to try. Ooh. Have you tried or heard of tanning drops?
Yes. So I actually tried the foam, though, not the drops, the oil or whatever, because the oil is clear. That really freaks me out, but I guess the foam's kind of clear, too. But I've tried a foam, and I love it, honestly.
I usually like to use just the Jergens self tanner on my face. I don't know why, but it's my face that freaks me out. I don't tan the rest of my body. It's just my face. I feel like I feel like a troll when my face is like pasty white in the winter. So I always use like the Jergens moisturizer, but they came out with these like Jergens drops, so I can just use my regular facial moisturizer and like put the little drop.
Ooh, that's smart. Perfect.
And that was my Target trip.
Excellent. That is a wonderful way to spend Friday night. But you have an actual trip where you can tan coming up. Have you packed for that yet? Your work trip?
No way. No way, Jose. I'm so bad at packing. I always pack last minute, but no, you're right. I probably should. I'm leaving on Wednesday morning, so I like do kind of need to get my ish together. I think I'll probably pack like maybe Monday night, maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, that's not that bad.
Tuesday
I feel
night.
like
That's too last minute.
could be fun. Could be a little adrenaline rush. Because I feel like it's very easy. You just, I don't know, for me at least, like, I also have a work trip coming up, but it's in 2 weeks, so we can talk about that later. We don't have to talk about that in this episode. But I feel like I just grab, like the company polos and just, like, 2 pairs of pants, like, depending on how many days you're on site.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, bada bing, bada boom. But then you gotta, since you're staying the weekend, you gotta pick out some fun outfits. Get some content for the Instagram.
I know. Yeah. I gotta bring some cute clothes, so I probably should pack tomorrow. Yeah, I kind of forgot I was going on that trip, but it'll be good.
Well, good. I'm glad to serve as your reminder.
Yeah, right?
But,
thank goodness.
Excellent. But that'll be fun. So maybe you won't need too many tanning drops after that. That'll be good.
I hope so.
But then you're going to come right back to
feeling...
Wisconsin, and we're going to have another snow day, and then those drops will help.
I just feel so much better when I'm like a little bit tan, you know, like when I am pasty way, I feel like I wake up in the morning and then I just look sickly and I'm like, oh God, I gotta fix this situation here. So I will update you on the tanning drops.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're a good purchase.
Yeah, that sounds nice that you could just put in the moisturizer. So look at you. You're like a little chemical engineer.
I know.
Making your own little
right?
cannon.
I'm like, it has a little dropper and I'm like, doot, 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 into my little moisturizer with my little drops. So
perfect. Excellent. Yeah, let us know. Because I've only tried the foam. So I would be totally open to trying new things if they're actually, if you actually would recommend them.
I've always seen people use on social media like that. Have you seen the brand Isle of Tan? Maybe, is that what it's called? It's like
is it Island
brand?
Is it the Island Sun one?
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I love tan.
I always see I was like, I love tan. I don't know. I always see people use that, and you can only order it online. I think maybe I don't know. Maybe you can get it in Sephora, but there's not Sephora by me. So
okay. I
just got the ones at Target, and hopefully they'll be good.
Perfect. Yeah, keep us updated.
Shall we get into reading our reviews?
Yes, let's do it. All right, so we have 2 reviews, and they're both students, so we thought it would be fun to read both of them. So if you want to go ahead with yours.
All right. And we do read reviews every episode, so if you guys leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we love reading them, and you may get a chance to be featured in an episode. So this person says... what does this person say? This person says, I'm so excited to listen to you guys. As a junior in mechanical engineering, it's so great to have female role models to look up to. Oh, we're role models. That's so fun.
That's cute.
Sometimes I forget that like people are actually listening. You know what I'm saying? Like people actually in school are listening to us. Because we're just sitting here recording.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're helping.
Just talking about our days. Aritzia, yeah. Or tan drops.
Yeah, right?
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. All right, I can read out mine. So I'm a sophomore biomed engineering student, and I love that I can relate to this podcast. I'm super competitive, and I think this will help me get through my major. Excellent to hear that. We love biomed engineering, biochemical, chemical. I feel like that's all like med device related. So love the representation. And also I feel like I'm super competitive. I don't know about you, Libby, in general. So I relate to that very hard. So I feel like maybe a lot of
competitive girlies.
Yes, in STEM we are.
All right. Well, I guess we should probably also plug. I guess we could plug at the end of the episode the Facebook group and our little forum.
Yes, but quick recap, just check out our Instagram bio and then we'll have more info about that. But we'll talk about it at the end.
Yeah. So we have a great episode for you guys today. We thought it would be great to talk about the topic of transitioning from undergrad to post grad. I mean, I think that this can apply to anybody, not just girlies in STEM, because everybody goes through the transition and it looks different for everyone. And we just thought it'd be great to share our experiences and some advice that we would maybe give ourselves now that we've, been out of college for a year or two.
Yes, definitely. And to start, to kind of give a little bit of background, we talked about this before, and we felt that there were like three big phases that we went through during our transition. So the first one was during the in process, like the job application process. This one, for both of us, we were still in school. So I feel like that was just the beginning of the transition. The second main phase was when starting the job. That one was probably like the most significant change. And then where we're currently at would be the last phase. So I'm personally 2 years out of school and Libby is 3, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Do we want to go through each of us talk like just go through each of them, or should we do one at a time?
Um, I say let's do one at a time, then we can kind of compare. Maybe we have differences, or maybe we were exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Twins.
Amazing. All right. You want to get started first then? And what was it like for you in the process of applying to jobs? And like what was the
Yes.
time frame?
So I personally started right like fall senior year. Which I think one thing I was also applying again, like I know we touched on my little management consulting phase. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's when a lot of like the business and like the operation, I had no clue exactly what I wanted to do. So I was applying for more of those types of roles because I feel like for engineering, I think, it's less hiring in advance compared to like
Mm-hmm.
business roles. So I think I made more progress with the actual like engineering roles in the springtime. So fall, going through career fair. I personally was very stressed in general, just because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted something set up. I like to plan ahead. I'm very type A. So what that looked like for me is just whenever I had time in between school, I would just sit and just apply. I would constantly look at LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, honestly, though, still. So not much has
Mm-hmm.
changed. And so I think I was less stressed fall semester than spring. But then when spring happened, that semester started, I would just sit Sunday just for hours and just apply to everything, cover letters, just constantly. So I think the biggest change was just investing time into that and I was just a little stressed. I wasn't too stressed. But I was still, doing school and everything. So it kind of felt like it was just homework. Like it was just
Mm-hmm.
something to add into my planner, and everything. But then COVID happened and we were really stressing after that. We're like, oh my God. We're like, how could it have gotten worse? So that's kind of what it looked like for me. It was just, I did apply to so many. I think I applied to over 200 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And even at career fair, I would just talk to all of these companies and even if it was in an area that I didn't want to, I still talk to everyone. I just was, it was I was thinking either it's practice or maybe it's the only option eventually and I have to move to like Utah or something.
Utah.
So there was a role and it was like the middle of Indiana, which nothing's wrong with that, but I just really did not want it. I was like, oh
That's
God.
not your vibe. That would not fit your vibe.
So yeah, there were some roles, and then there were some interviews I did deny after like talking to them at career fair, and then they would send me an email, and I like understood the position more, which is kind of something we talked about in our second Q&A of like you're walking around career fair, you don't really know what the company does, and then you kind of have more time at home to look and
Mm-hmm.
understand the role. Yeah, there were a few there. I was like, thank you so much for your time earlier, but I don't think this is a position I would like to pursue. And again, very professionally, totally fine to do that. Don't feel bad, but at least give. But that's kind of what it looked like
Yeah.
for me. Honestly, I would say again, it just took time and it was just kind of felt like homework or like another project that I had. And
So what
then,
was it like for you to apply after you graduated to jobs?
so applying after I graduated, that was a full-time job. I was every morning on LinkedIn, messaging people, just trying again. This was when primetime COVID was happening. So, everyone just, it was so uncertain of what was going on. So that
Mm-hmm.
one, I was just hours applying and just stressed. And I was like, oh, do I get a side job, like something fun? Um, but again, it was COVID. So it was just, everything was closed. It was just very tough. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know. I was just like, I guess I'll start studying for the FE. I was like, I need to do something. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what it entailed. I mean, again, I didn't have it as bad. It was like only a month where I was out of school, or like a month and a half. So it was fine. But it was a crazy transition just because I was so used to being busy with like school research. I jam packed my schedule in
Well,
undergrad, and then nothing. I had nothing to do. I woke up at noon. I was like, oh my God, no one needs me. It's
yeah.
like, I was so dramatic. I
Like
was
no
like,
obligation.
yeah, yeah. So I tried to take that time to kind of relax a little bit, but I hated it personally. I mean, I got into some hobbies that I didn't have time to before.
Mm-hmm.
So we can definitely talk about that a little bit more. I know we wanted to talk about that separately, but I don't know. It was just like I was just trying to fill my time up. I was like going to Ulta and like walking
Yeah.
around these stores, and I was like, I don't know. It was nice, but again, I was just so stressed. I stressed myself out, which again, another piece of advice: go chill out, girl.
Yeah,
So
right?
yeah, so I kind
It's
of got
stressful.
yeah, right. So I kind of got two different like experiences while applying to jobs, just because there was one during
Mm-hmm.
school and one when COVID was just hit. So
Yeah.
yeah, how about you? What did it look like for you? Because I think you had a very different, because you were all set. You were
Yeah.
all set before you graduated.
Well, and yeah, it was kind of one of those things where it was a little bit odd and I think unique in my situation in the fact that, well, first, the difference is that I graduated in December. So I did like the normal graduation of walking in the spring because I don't know, I just wanted like the spring graduation pictures instead of graduating like in the winter. So
Yeah.
I was like riding that high of being like, oh yeah, I'm almost done with college and um, had a summer internship and stuff. But like coming back for that last semester just felt so different because I was like, I don't know. I feel like I was so over school at that point, and I was like, I just want to be graduated. But at the same time, I also was like still having fun and like
Mhm.
happy to be in school. So it was just like this really weird feeling of like being stuck. I don't know. So I started applying to jobs in August. So like right at the end of summer, I remember like right before going back to school. And I think like, and this is where it's different because for my internships, for example, I remember applying to hundreds of places and like just not even knowing what I was applying to, literally just like you said, Lexi, on LinkedIn all day long, applying. And for my job that I have now, I was interning while I was applying. So I had a job offer from the place that I was interning at, but I also kind of wanted to maybe pursue other opportunities or just like see what's out there for me. So I think I really only applied to less than 5 jobs in August. And right away, the place that I'm working at now, the recruiter reached out to me like the day after I applied. And so my interview process for that took place at the end of my summer internship. So I remember I told them one day I like came looking nicer because I usually only had to wear like jeans and a blouse to work, and I came in like dress pants and a nice shirt all tucked in, and I was like, I have a doctor's appointment. And I was like, I have to leave and then I'll come back. I like didn't tell them I was going out for an interview.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I think probably the first week of school, because I remember celebrating in the apartment with Sophie when I got my job offer. I
Mhm.
think they called like the first week back at school in August.
That's awesome. That probably just felt so good to start the
Yeah,
semester off that way.
and it was so nice because then I didn't have to worry about anything for the whole semester. So it's definitely like a unique situation. And like you said earlier, how I agree with you how I feel like business majors usually, like remembered seeing some of my business major friends get job offers like a year or even 2 years in advance, like being juniors in college and posting on LinkedIn like, just signed
Yeah.
an offer for my job, and I was like, what the heck? Like,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
not like that, I feel like, for engineering students.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, there definitely are some roles, again, like you said, with your internship, you had an offer to return. And I feel like I was interviewing for some roles in the fall. But again, I just feel like I got the most progress done like in the spring for
Hmm.
engineering. Which one thing
Yeah,
actually I
definitely.
just thought of that I want to like talk about is how to like, because a big aspect of my process of applying to jobs was interviewing and then just not getting a return interview or like not getting an offer. So
Hmm.
that was definitely something that I had to deal with. And I was just, it was kind of a bummer. But again, they were roles like, again, this happened a lot in the fall. And those were just roles that were consulting roles, which I did not, I had so much technical experience, like internship wise, research wise, that
Hmm.
it just didn't make sense. Like, I'm so grateful I got those like first few interviews, but then, not going through the final interview and not getting an offer, it made sense. Like, now looking back, I'm like, yes, I literally had no consulting like prior consulting experience, so
Hmm.
that was another aspect of, I guess, what I was going through. I was just like, ah, dang. I was like, and it just was so much more dramatic in the moment because I'm like, I'm just not marketable, I'm not gonna get an offer, all this stuff, so that kind of added
Hmm.
on. But I mean, I think the way I dealt with that was just applying to more jobs. I was like, well, I mean, I gotta work somewhere, like you gotta work in life. So I was like,
Gotta work somewhere.
I was like, someone will take me and I will do a good job at whatever it is. But you just, I don't know. That's kind of how I dealt with it. So I just wanted to touch on that in case anyone is experiencing that, or just a heads up that you might experience it. Hopefully not, but
Hmm.
it's fine. You just got to be, I think I'm a big advocate of just being proactive of instead of just being so down in the dumps about it.
Yeah.
So,
Instead of wallowing, you like put that energy
yes,
into something else, like continuing to apply for more jobs.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
but that is good that you did not have to go through that. And I do remember celebrating. That was awesome. That was a
Yeah.
very good
But
celebration. I was
it
happy.
was it was so unexpected, I think, because like I remember just for internships, like sophomore year, I didn't get any internship, and I remember being so down in the dumps about it. And I think we mentioned this on a previous episode, but you feel like I felt like, oh my god, I'm never gonna get a job because I didn't get an internship sophomore year, and it's gonna be so bad on my resume and all this stuff. And you're right, like in the moment with jobs, you feel like your world is ending because you didn't get the job you wanted, or people just simply didn't call you back or like contact you after applying or after an interview. And so that was like so different for my experience applying to jobs post grad, because I was like, oh, okay, got a job. And like
Yeah.
typically I feel like that's not how it goes.
Yeah. The universe was like, we're going to cut her some slack.
Yeah, right.
She deserves this one. She's like, we got her. But okay, one thing also to note, because you got the offer like in September. So you
Hmm.
started your role in January, though. So again,
Hmm.
like to our listeners, I feel like that kind of aligns with like engineering roles, not recruiting too far in advance. Because kind of, I don't know, if someone forgets that you graduated in January, maybe they'll think like you got it for in May, for starting in May.
True.
But
Hmm.
yeah, so again, and then when I got my offer, it was like starting right away,
Yeah.
just it was like an immediate need. I feel like for engineers, it kind of is in that situation unless there is like a developmental, I don't know, development program or like rotational program. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
developmental. Is that even a word? Who knows?
Yeah.
Um,
Developmental.
but or like a rotational program. We'll go with that. I
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
they definitely recruit in advance. So
Yeah.
that's what I've seen in the engineering world. Like if you're not part of one of those programs, it's probably like something that's a few months out instead of like a whole year or something. So
Hmm. Yeah, so that was really interesting for me. And then I guess I can kind of go into talking about like what it was like when I first started my job, because um it was kind of weird because I started it right after New Year's, like the day after New Year's
oh
Day, which
gosh,
which
oh
was
my
so
gosh,
different because we're so like our J term is so long. Like
yes,
I
6
don't even
weeks.
6 weeks. When did it go to? Like,
Yes.
I think February, right?
No, it went like right at the
Or
end of
end of
January because we
January?
we ended like beginning like first 2 weeks of December. We were done with finals by then,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had like all of that. We had all the holidays, and we had extra time. It was so nice. It was so
It
nice.
was so nice. And so I was like used to having my winter break be so long. And then I feel like I didn't really even have time to think about starting a job. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was like, it was the holidays. And then all of a sudden I was starting my job and I was like, that was it. Like, there
Yeah,
wasn't any other time to like have a break or like have a breather. It was just like, come home from finals, celebrate the holidays, start your job right away. And
yeah,
it was just like overwhelming, but I don't even think that in the moment I knew it was overwhelming because I was still living at home. This is before COVID, so I'm in the office. I was driving to work every day. I do remember my very first day of work was so exhausting. Like, I came home and Brett and I went and got Panera, and I was like telling him about my first day. And it's just like, because on the first day you like meet all these people and you've got like your smiley happy face on and you're trying to be super
hmm,
positive and you're like, oh, like, this is my new job. And I feel like it just was so draining because I was just like had to
yeah,
be like turned on for like the whole entire day.
yeah. Your mouth hurts from smiling too so much.
Yeah, and like you're just tired of like, I don't know, you're like zoning out from all these people like talking to you, but you like have to have a smile on your face and like be engaged and be focused, but like it's just so different than like sitting in a class or like doing something in college where like I used to always say this, like, when you're in college and you're going to classes, if there's a day that you wake up and you're like, wow, I'm just really having a terrible day and I can't go to classes, you can just stay home and like it really probably won't affect too much, especially because like these lectures are so big and like the professor probably isn't going to really realize that you're not there. But you can't do that with a job,
No,
like
yeah,
you can't just be like, oh man, I'm having a really bad day. Like, I mean, I guess you could call your boss that morning and be like, hey, I need to take like an emergency PTO day. But no, like, I think that was such a weird realization for me starting my job, was like, wow, I literally have to work every single day except for the weekends unless I request PTO. And I was like, this
see,
is
unless you have to work on the
BS.
weekends, because sometimes
Yeah.
you do from your stories.
Yeah. So that was like, that literally though took me probably the entire first year of working to kind of like understand that this is how my life would be. Because yeah, like in the beginning when I would have to work on the weekends, I was so mad. I was
Yeah,
like, this, what is this? Like, this is my weekend. And now, like, coming into year 3 of my job, I think I'm a lot more just like, okay, well, this is life. Like, if there's things going on, like, I guess I just don't make it as big of a deal anymore. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you
definitely. Yeah,
feel the same way with
yeah.
like
So
working on the
yeah,
weekends.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on this. I remember, but it's just like it's your name on the project. I think it's, you know, that's how I think of it. Like I totally
Hmm.
am fine. I guess maybe I feel like I work too hard. I feel like I'm such a pushover in general, but but so I would just come to terms with that and just have to try hard, which we're getting better at it though. But I think it
Hmm.
was just, my name's on it. I want to do well, and I am willing to work the weekend. Again, I think you should have a healthy mix of both. Like your initial thoughts, like this is my weekend, this is my time, I need to disconnect. But also at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I have a good job. There are some slow days, so maybe that makes up for the hours that I have to work on the weekends.
Hmm.
So I think it's important to have a good mix of both. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. It was tough sometimes. You're like, dang, this is a 12-hour day.
Yeah. Oh. So what was it like for you then when you first started your job? I think we maybe touched on it briefly in a previous episode with it being COVID and everything, but like if you could go into like what that was like for you.
Yes. So I can talk about starting it remote, and then so I was remote for I think 2 or 3 weeks before they had me on site. So I feel like I got two separate like new starting jobs because I was still fresh out of school into the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So I started remote. They had me like help with the decks, like the client decks and everything. So I
Uh-huh.
was like, okay, this is not too much engineering. And I was like, okay, this is fine. They're like, oh, look at like PowerPointTemplates.com. I was like, okay, I can do this. So it was just a very easy transition. There were some documents that I had to review, which was a little overwhelming. I think it was very hard onboarding remotely for an engineering job, and I don't think everyone was technically or was really prepared to for that, especially like in the beginning of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
to have that training and that onboarding, remote. Usually it's in person. So I would say I wasn't too overwhelmed until they had me start looking at all the technical stuff because they did like a training week, but I wasn't able
Okay.
to do the training week of that month from when I started. So I had to wait till the following month. So I seriously had no idea about the technical, you know, all the stuff that went in because this was validation pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some strategy consulting as well, but I still didn't really know the technicals. Like I was learning the science behind the actual project. So then, in comparison, starting in person, that was, like you said, it was draining. So I flew into the Maryland area.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, this is kind of a funny story actually now that I'm like living
Get
it
into
back.
it.
So
Get into
so
it.
they told me like that Thursday or Friday. They're like, we need you on site on Monday. And I said, okay. Like I knew this was gonna be a travel job. Like I was super excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally thought I had to rent. So basically, how you do it is you get your own hotel or like you get the rental car on your card and then you get it expensed unless you have a corporate card, which obviously I didn't because I was so new.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a rental car and I landed. It was like I landed at 1 or something and we had a meeting set up for 1:30. So what I had to do was Uber from the airport to site because they had a company car for me. But there was no communicate there was not very good communication in that instance because I was like on one project and I was transitioning to the next and I was so new
Mm-hmm.
again. So I didn't know who to talk to. So I just rented a car because that's what HR told me to do. They sent me all the rental and car insurance. So I rented a car and my direct manager at that new project was like, oh, okay, where are you? It was like 1:45. We had the meeting set up for 1:30.
Okay.
And I think I gave him a heads up before, obviously, if I was going to be late. I was like, oh, just so you know, like the shuttle to the rental car place is taking so long, but I'll be there soon, yada, yada, yada. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, well, we have a corporate car for you here on site. And I was like, oh, God. So he's like, oh, it's okay. Like, you could take the rental for the week and then we'll switch off. So it was fine. But I was just like, okay, I feel dumb for that. But again, it was just so many different groups that it was, I don't know, we were
Well,
working
I
with.
feel like I feel like a lot of people also sometimes don't even realize when you're new. Like like using Outlook, for example. I've never used Outlook before and I didn't know how to use it. And so I would like ask people really stupid questions and they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's really not that hard." But like with your
Yeah.
example of like the cars, like I feel like people just don't really even realize that you're like brand new or even
Yeah.
that we just came from college.
Yeah, because the thing is, I didn't want to get stranded, just like not I
Yeah.
wanted to be prepared, and I spoke with HR, which again, I feel like a rental car is not the craziest thing. Like it worked out, obviously, he
Yeah.
kept his corporate car and everything, but yeah. So I mean, I think that transition was just so much more like involved compared to the one that was remote because I was at a different state, different area,
Mhm.
and like they had an Airbnb set, so we had an Airbnb or we have corporate apartments, but we were waiting for someone to move out of the corporate apartment. So I was set in an Airbnb. So it was just, I mean, it was just kind of exciting because I like traveling in general, but it was
Yeah.
just a little overwhelming because of all that extra stuff because that was all just done during business hours. So I feel like maybe if I flew in that weekend or something and got settled and then showed up on Monday morning to the site, that would have been, maybe a little less overwhelming, but I literally flew in that Monday morning, figured everything out. Like I don't know. I liked it. It wasn't too bad. But that was also the week that all the training was happening with like the general like new hire class. So I had to miss
Mhm.
all of Monday. I like logged on at like 4 and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like this is, I obviously had
You're
to
like,
meet with
"I'm
my
just trying to get a
manager.
car."
Yeah. I was like, I had to meet with my direct manager on site. Like they gave me a tour of the facility. By the time that was all done, like it's 4 p.m. and I logged on. I mean, obviously the training class, they knew that I
Mhm.
was, traveling and everything, but I just felt like I missed so much. So that was kind of an interesting transition and a little overwhelming. But compared to what I was doing remote, huge difference. So
Yeah. Yeah, and you're expected to like introduce yourself and like know how to navigate places, especially you're in a new state that you haven't been in before.
Yes.
Like,
So that was very involved. It was a very involved new onboarding process, I think, for myself at least. But
mhm. Yeah, and I feel like in the moment, like, I don't know if you felt this way, but there's so much going on when you first start your job that you don't even really have time to think about the fact that you're not in college anymore. I don't know. Like at first it's kind of almost like starting an internship. I don't know, because it's almost like one day you wake up and it hits you and you're like, wow, I'm not just gonna end this job in August.
I
Like an
know.
internship would be, it's like, wow, I'm just like here and this is what I do for my job and like this is it.
Yeah. So I think that really helps. Like this project was so involved. We were working again. It was like 10, 12 hour. Not, well, maybe not 12. I mean, some people were working 12. I think because I was newer, they didn't have me as involved in the project in the beginning.
Hmm.
It was just insane hours. I think that definitely helped the transition because I loved being busy. And I think transitioning, from no job, being unemployed for like a month and a half, and then starting remote for, you know, making slide decks for 3 weeks, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is it. We are living lavish.
We're
We are,
balling.
I was like, oh my gosh. And so I think that really helped, honestly. But again, I did not have any time to think about it. You'd come home drained. So that was my and again, there's some stamina with working in an
Yeah.
office. I'm like, you need to get used to it. There's definitely like a little like period of time where I just came home and I would just go to bed. I'd be like, I'm not
Yeah,
even hungry. I gotta go to
literally.
bed.
Well,
So
because when you're in college, you're so used to, maybe you have two classes for the day, or maybe you have three classes, and like in between classes, you have time to yourself to like walk to the next class or like grab something to eat. And then it's like when you're having to go into work every single day, you like don't really have time to yourself unless you go to the bathroom or something.
yeah,
Like you're always
exactly.
constantly like surrounded by around people and you like want to be polite and you want to be nice and you want to have a smile on your face, you want to be working hard, and like you have so much going on and it's exhausting.
Yes, I know the power naps at school were honestly, they were amazing. To come
Yeah.
back, I had an hour in between classes. I'd be like, okay, I don't need to go get food. I just need to sleep. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just sleep and then go back to the engineering building. But honestly, we there were some times where we slept in the engineering building, and our
There
little
were.
we had a thanks to Theta Tau, shout out Theta Tau again. So since I was on the executive board, we had like a little study room and it had a couch in it, and it was like you needed access for it, so that's why I felt okay with sleeping in the building. I just want to clarify that. But
It was safe. Don't worry.
yeah, I was like, it's not that weird. But the weird part was that it was just windows. There was no walls. Like it was
I
like people
loved
could
it.
see. I loved it too. I loved our little like all nighters that we pulled. But there was a little couch. We took power naps on there. Like, but it, if I saw someone sleeping on the couch walking, because when the lights are inside the building, obviously, if you're walking on the pathway right behind the engineering building, you'll definitely see someone sleeping on the couch. I'd
Yeah.
be a little concerned. I'd be a little like, okay, well, that's concerning. And
Yeah.
there were also windows like in the building, so like people walking in the hallway could just see. It wasn't even like small windows; it was floor to ceiling windows. I'm telling you, they
Giant
had full
windows.
access. Like everyone knew what you were doing if you were studying, or if you were procrastinating, or if you were sleeping, or just I don't even
If
know.
you're
But I,
goofing off and
yeah,
dancing around.
literally dance break. Oh my gosh, yeah, I miss those. Those were fun.
Yeah.
But those were that room was honestly Skybox. It was called. Love her, miss her. But yeah.
And
So
and it's just like, we would pull all-nighters in college, and like you would be crazy or studying crazy hours, and you'd like your classes would be different times of different days, and then you go to work and it's like every day you have to show up at 8:30 and or like 8 o'clock or 7 or whatever it is, and like and every day you take your lunch at this time, and like
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
it's so mundane compared to like what we're all used to with college.
Definitely. And I think, yeah, and again, like I said, I loved the longer hours because that was what I was used to. Like even with research too, like who knows what would happen when I need to be in, or like I
Yeah.
loved that like spontaneity of like, I don't know what I'll do. Like I could do this project or like work on this or I don't know. I don't know. It was I feel like
Yeah.
it was just again, it was just overall more fun in school.
It
Which
was.
where everyone's listening to this like, oh my God, this sounds terrible. No, it's not bad. It's okay.
It's not bad. It's just such
It's
a, and that's why like this is a good episode because it's how would you describe it? It's a transition of like your lifestyle. Like it's just
Yeah.
inevitable. It's going to happen. Of course, there are fun parts about like our lives now.
Yeah, I mean, you're
We're
going to
not,
Florida. You're going to Florida. Like,
yeah, but it's just different.
yeah, you're going to Florida for work. You are spending the weekend. Like, what professor's going to send you to Florida to go study, you know? So
Yeah,
there are upsides of everything. So remember that when you're
yeah.
listening.
So, should we get into like how how our lives currently look with our job? Because now I feel like we're both kind of like settled into the work life, and we both are like pretty established in the beginning of our careers, and hopefully we've learned a few things here and there.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah. So, we went remote starting in March of 2020. So I think that was like, I guess that was kind of like another milestone that I had to learn how to navigate, was like working from home while living in my childhood bedroom. And like having to deal with my parents also work from home, and like, so that was like kind of another big, I guess, like chapter in my post grad life. But I would say after moving out, I did live at home for about a year, and then I moved out into an apartment. And even in the apartment, I feel like I was still kind of getting used to like working from home and just like work responsibilities in general. Probably towards the end of living in the apartment, and now like living at in my house, like I definitely feel like I have a routine established, and um it's not as overwhelming, I guess I would say. Like I know exactly what I'm going to do every day for work. I do kind of like how we have the freedom to go into the office or go into the shop when we need to. Like sometimes I literally will just go in to work at my desk from work, and people are like, "Oh, like why is there something you need to see today? Like why did you come in?" I'm like, "No, I literally just need a change of scenery." Like I
Yeah.
can't be working from home all the time. But now I feel like it's just more about getting a routine down every day, and just kind of like having that expectation of knowing what I'm going to do every day going into it, so that it's not like a surprise. Yeah, I feel like my expectations with work now are so much different than when I first started, because I think I'm just more used to the type of work that I'm doing. I'm more used to like the company culture and like the people that I'm working with, like more used to their personalities. And I know that, if I have to open my laptop on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'm not going to freak out. Like, whereas before, I feel like I freaked out because I was like, this is dumb. And now I'm
Yeah.
kind of just more like, okay, well, you know what? That's just my job, and that's just like my responsibility, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So,
So we touched on how we kind of liked, or at least I guess I liked the spontaneity of like, not having a routine. So would you say that you like having a routine now that you're, a few years in?
yeah, I mean, I feel like especially with working from home, just me personally, I have like I had to instill a routine, because when I just compare the days of me, like, and there definitely are still days. I'm not going to say I like am perfect and do a routine every day. There's definitely still days where I like wake up at 7:50 and get online at 8, and I'm still in my pajamas, and I probably don't change out of my pajamas until my lunch break. But like those days compared to the days where I am doing a routine every day, and I have a set time that I wake up, and I like am able to take Elsie out and like make myself breakfast and kind of scroll on my phone for a little bit in the morning. Like I feel like that just sets me up for success way better. Like probably I would say mentally more than anything at my job, especially with working from home. Like, you know, it just like makes me feel so much better during my workday, whereas the days that I just roll out of bed, I don't know, I just feel like I'm trying to catch up in a sense, because I didn't have time to like prepare myself in the morning. But yeah, I don't know. And that's so different from college, because in college I didn't really have a routine because every day is different. And I do miss like the, I guess, yeah, spontaneity that you're saying of college, but now my life just looks way more organized, I guess. And that sounds so lame, but yeah, I don't know. What about you?
It doesn't sound lame, but I'm
I
like,
just,
that's so
like,
mature of you. I'm
I
like, yeah,
wake
that's a mature
up and
little lady.
yeah, I drink my little glasses of water, and I read my little book.
Yes,
Not
you
like
are a big reader now.
yeah, I'm not like a crazy college girl anymore. It's sad.
Yeah, yeah. So going off of that, I would say our roles kind of differ in the sense that I feel like you're able to set up such a better routine, like kind of going in, or I guess maybe if you have like an issue with a vendor, like a part,
Mhm.
you have to go in sometimes. But I feel like with my stuff, there is more travel involved. Like we're supporting sites on the East Coast still.
Mhm.
There's a site 2 hours away, so I feel like I still do have a little bit of. I'm not sure exactly what my week is going to look like. Like I keep talking about this one project. We had the failure. Now I have to come on site. Next week when we rerun that. But that was not intended. But I guess again, like I said, you also go through that. But I feel like I work on such a variety of projects that I do still have a sense of, not exactly having that routine,
Yeah.
which I
Like
like.
every day,
So,
every week is different,
yeah,
or like looks
exactly.
different for you.
So, and I think I do really like that. So, I think I
Mhm.
need that in a role. But I mean, obviously, we all have our more established routines, but I don't think I'm as good as you with having a routine in the morning. I'm not gonna try and say I don't know. I feel like maybe I should, honestly. I've been looking into OneNote too, because you keep talking about that. I'm like, how can I set
Love
this up better?
OneNote. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan.
Um, so I don't know. I feel like for each project, I just try and get my work done. I feel like maybe I should establish it better. But again, I don't know. I think I like that we have both aspects. Like you have a set routine. It seems like you're like have your life a little bit more together, and then me, it's just kind of like I'm kind of like, okay, let's just deal with this week and see how we can
Take it
deal
week by
with
week.
things, yeah, more efficiently. So, yeah. So I think I don't know. I do have a little bit of sense of we're not sure what's going to happen, but I think it's definitely less than in the consulting role. Which again, you're going to get that in consulting. That's what you sign up for.
Mhm.
So which I kind of like. And then I guess I personally am in such a better place than I was when I started this role because I started remote. It was very hard to meet people. I have a very small team.
Mhm.
And it took me like 6 months to actually meet people to actually be on site. Like I was supposed to work on the Wisconsin site a little more than I have. And that project was just so delayed. So it just took so long to meet people. And now I kind of feel like I actually, know more people and like this sounds like kind of dramatic, but I feel like I'm actually like adding something to the company, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I
No,
have
that's
like,
totally fair.
so I feel like it took a few months to get actually like involved in your role because I feel like again, I mean it's on trend just not having as many tasks or responsibilities. It just made me feel like I wasn't really adding too much. And I guess off of your point with like all the all-nighters, we don't know what we're doing with like school, we have to study for these exams. I feel like that gave you a sense of purpose, like okay, I'm working
Yeah.
towards something. It was very clear what the goals were and your achievements were after. But so that was something I definitely struggled with. But I think now, again, just heads up everyone listening, it takes like I feel like it takes 6 months to actually figure out what you're doing in a role and get like established. So I think
Yeah.
now I'm definitely much better than when I started a role because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so not needed. I was like,
Yeah.
so, but again, that's
And
dramatic.
And for anybody listening, like just to give you a sense, again, I think we said this in the beginning of the episode, but I'm going on year 3 of my job. Lexi, you're going on year 2. Like it really does take you a couple years to feel like established and feel like I guess a little bit more comfortable in your role. So I would say if you're first starting out a new job and you feel like really discouraged, oh my god, there were probably so many times where I felt so terrible about my job and I was like, I'm going to quit, like just being so dramatic about different things. And if you're going through that, like just try to stick it out, like it gets better, but it's just such a hard transition.
Definitely. So, we split it up into our personal experiences in these 3 phases, but I feel like there's 2 aspects that you really deal with when you transition
Hmm.
from undergrad to college, and that's the professional aspect and a social aspect. of course. So
Definitely.
we can start getting into the professional aspect. So personally, I just noticed, the professional aspect of a different wardrobe. You need to go shopping.
Oh yeah.
You cannot wear a frat shirt to your office job. But unless you're
Leggings.
remote, because honestly, I will not lie, I do wear pajamas sometimes when I work and I'm not needed on camera or I don't have too many meetings. But
Yeah.
I think you can maybe speak on this a little bit more because you started in office. So did you prepare? Did you like go on a shopping spree before, or did you kind of wanted to approach it as you're gonna buy as you need it, or like maybe a few each
Yeah.
time, or did you just shop and spree?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is, and it's probably different at everybody's company, but at where I work, you can wear jeans, like we don't have to wear dress pants, which is super nice. But it's like you can't wear jeans with holes because you have to look professional. So, like a lot of my jeans that I would wear in college, like out to the bars and stuff, were holy jeans. So I think
Oh,
that's like
jeez.
they were holy jeans. That was like a really weird thing that I like didn't anticipate was that I had to go out and buy a ton of like jeans that like looked a little bit nicer, that didn't have holes in them and stuff. So yeah, definitely shopped in that department, and then also, just getting different like PPE, so steel-toed boots, safety glasses. Just those are things that I didn't have in college that I definitely had to get to prepare for my role. And then I don't know, like I don't know what you think about this, Lexi, but I feel like they're like the clothes that you wear to work are just so different than the clothes that you like would wear even just out on the weekend, like in terms of just the way the blouse is or the sweaters that you wear. I don't know. Do you feel that way
Yeah.
too or no?
So I think sweater wise, I think I had a few turtlenecks and such. I feel like I dress like a mom though, kind of. So,
I dress
but
like a mom at work, yeah.
so no, in general, I feel like I dress like a mom. I get
Oh.
my high school friends are always like, "You look like such a mom," and it's like, I think I look cute, so you have to deal with it. We've been friends for too long.
Yeah.
But so I think the sweaters that was fine for me at least. But the summer, I agree with the blouses. Like I definitely had to buy a few more. So my approach, so I bought so I think for the consulting firm for sure, we dressed more businessy.
Uh-huh.
So we were not allowed to wear jeans, even if the client was allowed to wear jeans. So I bought like a set of black pants, blue pant, like navy, not blue, like not
Hmm.
like bright blue. So I
Royal
got
blue.
like the basics, and then I had a few shirts just from internships, so I kind of used that. I definitely didn't go on a shopping spree because I was like, "Girl, you have been unemployed for so long. You need to save money." It's like we are in no place. But then I think one thing I like to do, I like to kind of like how we talked about with Aritzia. I like to buy one good quality thing every few weeks. So that's
Uh-huh.
kind of how I approached it. I actually went to Aritzia after my first paycheck, in DC. I loved
Oh
it
my
was
god, you're
the
feeling like
Georgetown.
Carrie Bradshaw, Sex in
Yeah.
the City. You're
So
like
I
walking
got
around.
so I got a pair of pants from there, that had a plaid pattern that were
Ooh.
work appropriate, and then I got a shirt. So obviously that is much more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
work clothing, but I still wear them now. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how I approach it. I just buy something nice like every few weeks, and I'm kind of working on building that up. But again, I was more on site for that first role, and now I'm kind of remote, so I don't really need that many. So I've kind of like toned down with that, and it kind of helps that I
Mm-hmm.
was on site initially and on the East Coast, so I have like all those clothes from there. So whenever I'm
Yeah.
needed here and there on site, I kind of can just pick, and then no one like remembers exactly what I what I wore.
What you were wearing.
So yeah,
Do you have
so
like I have clothes that are just work. Like I refuse to wear them on the weekends or something, or not refuse, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to put this on because I wear this to
yes.
work. Do you feel that
Yeah.
way?
Yep, I totally, and it's so weird because like I said, I have cute sweaters. I think like turtlenecks for winter, so I think I wear those. But there's the summer clothes, no touchy. Mm-mm. I was like,
Yep.
I feel like too much of a mom. I'm like, I need to dress more trendy. Even my mom tells me, she's like, why don't you try this trend? I was like, you're right. It's like
You're
I need to
like,
get more trendy. I need to get more trendy and fun.
But
But
there's definitely shirts that I have that I own, and it's not even that I don't like them, like, or don't think they're cute or whatever. It's just like like if I'm not at work, I'm I don't know. I would
you
rather wear
just need
like a
the
tank
you
top and a
need like the split.
cardigan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like you can't really wear like tank tops to work, you know?
Definitely not.
So
Yeah.
it's just like it's so different.
Yeah. So that was definitely something. And then I feel like other in another like part of the professional aspect, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't too much of a transition just because like I had internships before, so I kind of didn't. I don't know, behavioral wise, I kind of knew. I feel like I don't know. I knew how to act. I don't want to say it because I'm like amazing
No,
and
yeah.
knew how to do that. But again, I think it's all really helped with the professional development aspect as well as the internships in general. So that wasn't too bad. I
Mhm.
think I just in that in that department, I guess it was just like the remote etiquette. You're like, okay, how do I respond to this? I'm like, are you
Yeah,
like mad
etiquette.
or yeah? So I think that was just but it was because of COVID. So that one you can't expect like
Yeah.
you can't anticipate that. So I feel like maybe nowadays I'm sure they have like something of like Zoom etiquette, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So,
That's
but
so true. I didn't even think like you definitely have especially when you first start a new job, you definitely have like a quote unquote like work personality that is like way different than how you act normally. And because you're trying to be professional, you're trying to be nice, you're trying to be like, like just being a good person. I don't know. And then like I feel like the longer that I've worked at this company, the more comfortable I've gotten with like just sharing. I guess like this sounds cliche, but like sharing who I truly am because, you know, you don't really you're not really talking about like what you're doing on the weekends really when you first start a job. Or if people ask you, you're like, "Oh, I don't know, I just hung out," or I wouldn't like go into detail. And now that I've known my coworkers for a little bit longer, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable to be like, "Oh my god, we tried out this place, did this, whatever." And you kind of like let your personality show a little bit more.
definitely. And I feel like you're pretty good at showing your personality through work clothing too. Though going off of the
Mm-hmm.
wardrobe though, because you have some TikToks with funky pants.
Oh yeah.
So what kind of helps you become more confident in wearing those, pants? Or from the beginning, were you like, I'm gonna wear these pants?
Well,
Because for reference to our listeners, they're the Free People like hippie tie dye ones, the orange ones, and she would wear them in Oxford, and they were a hit in Oxford. And I saw a TikTok, and you were wearing
the
them in work,
flare
and I was
jeans.
like, amazing, yeah.
Hmm.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I started the trend in my internship and it was called Funky Pants Friday. And every Friday I would wear a different pair of funky pants. And I think it started because I went to TJ Maxx and I found a really cute pair of like straight leg, wide leg dress pants and they were blue and white and black striped. And I think I just like wore them on accident one day and someone was like, "Oh my god, those are so funky," or whatever. And I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm going to capitalize on this. Let's go."
I'm
So
gonna capitalize on this.
I still do it at my job now. And okay, part of like one of the whole reasons why I do this, and you may think this is dumb, but it totally works. I do it because it's like a way for me to bond with all the guys in the shop because I don't know, if you think about it, like for any of my male coworkers when they go down and they talk to like, the operators or whatever that are working in our shop, they can find some common ground on like hunting or fishing or whatever like dude stuff. And
Hmm.
with like me, I don't know, they all of them want to be like really polite and they don't want to say the wrong thing. So they like, we never really had anything to have a conversation about. And I was like, oh, like I'm jealous. Like I want to be a guy's guy. I want to bond with the people in the shop. Like,
She's just
you
a
know,
guy's girl, a guy's
I just
gal.
want to be a guy's gal. And so I started wearing the funky pants. And then people would come up to me and be like, oh my God, those are crazy. Or they'd be like, oh, I can totally see my daughter wearing those. Like, where did you get them? And so it was like a way for me to spark a conversation with people in the shop. And also, it just like made people laugh when they would see me like walk in with these crazy giant
Hmm.
wide bell bottoms that are orange and blue, like paisley and corduroy, or they'd be like, I had a pair of those in the 70s, get all nostalgic. And so, yeah, and now it's so funny because I've worked at my job long enough and done Funky Pants Friday long enough to where if there's a Friday where I'm just wearing jeans, people in the shop will be like, Libby, what the heck? Where are your funky pants today? It's Friday. And I'm like, oh, you guys are right. I totally forgot. So
That's
yeah,
so funny. I love
it's
that.
it's just so fun. It's just like a fun way to be fun at work, especially if you like work in a high stress environment. I'm like, you know what, you guys, I'm gonna pull out my funky orange bell bottoms today because I know we're all like drowning in work. So let's all just have something to laugh at, and that'll be my pants.
Definitely. That'll be my pants. Perfect. I love that.
Yeah. So, what are there any other like professional aspects that you want to hit on before we move into the social aspects of post grad life?
Um, I think honestly that hit it for me. Like I said, it wasn't too much of like learning like the etiquette of like how to speak besides just like dealing with remote stuff. But that's just
Yeah.
because everyone was dealing with that because of COVID. But how about you? Anything else?
No, yeah. I mean, and again, I feel like we always say this, but thank goodness for Theta Tau because I think that put us at a huge advantage going into our internships and into our jobs because we just like kind of knew how to act. Because I don't know, it's definitely like a rude awakening and different from if you're comparing like a job, for example, waitressing or bartending, like the way you act at that job. I mean, maybe this sounds obvious, but the way you act at that job is way different than like when you're in a more corporate setting. So,
Definitely. And even if you don't have Theta Tau or like a similar organization, that does not put you at a disadvantage at all because obviously, you have a career center that can help. But I personally did learn a lot, during my internship. Just
mhm.
like how to say things, what not to say or how to put things tone wise as well. Like I said, in my first role, I had a lot of people that were my age. So we actually did email reviews like, hey, how does this sound? What's my tone? So don't get too nervous if you don't have that support system of an organization like Theta Tau because we did learn. I mean, personally, I did at least a lot
Mhm.
on the job.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a learning curve. Um, but okay, yeah. So then if we want to kind of touch on the social aspect of post grad life that is so different from college. I mean, I think we both kind of experience this a little bit, but and anybody can probably relate to this, but moving back in with your parents is definitely definitely different
Humbling.
than
It's
living
humbling.
humbling. That's a really
I
good way
was
to put it.
humbled. I was humbled. Yes.
Very much
So,
so.
do you wanna talk about your experience?
Yeah, I mean, so I think after college I was totally like I am leaving right away. I'm getting my own apartment right away, like all this stuff being so sassy and I quickly realized how nice it is to save money while you're living with your parents and not
Yes.
having to have like a lot of living expenses. So, I don't know. It was definitely weird. I think I'm really lucky though. My parents were really good about like having boundaries. And I mean, I just graduated college. I didn't really have like a curfew or anything. Like, not that I was like going out and partying all the time because it was like peak COVID, but like it wasn't like how they treated me like in high school, I guess. So it was okay, but definitely I think moving back in with your parents, depending on your situation, can be very like stuffy, like
Definitely.
like give
And
me some space.
yes, and on your, comment about saving a lot of money, yeah, clearly it helps because you are a homeowner.
Heck
You
yeah.
are a boss girl.
Yeah.
So,
It's
that's
crazy how
awesome.
much things can change in such a short period of time. Like if you'd have asked me like right after I graduated college if I like guess when you buy a home, I probably would be like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe like 2035." Like not like anywhere close to being out of school. So,
Yeah, definitely, which is super impressive, which is awesome.
it's crazy. Yeah. So, how about you? What was it like? Well, cuz you kind of started off your consulting job was on the East Coast, but
Yes.
now this
So,
job you're kind of more at home.
yeah, so in that role, they covered the apartment, which was so nice. It was a very nice apartment. And they covered the car as well. So I was living the life. I loved it so much. I mean, we were working long hours. It was a stressful job, especially
Mhm.
with being in the pharma industry, but it was you're in cloud nine. You're like, I'm not paying for
Yeah.
rent. I'm making money. I'm saving money on the rent. Not home. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, So I loved it. The gym was nice. It was just awesome. Like there's a Dunkin' that was walking distance. There's a Panera. I was in heaven,
Ooh,
girl.
you're living the life.
I loved it. And like, East Coast, you can drive to such beautiful places too. So
Hmm.
that was awesome. I mean, I was there mainly during the winter, but there were some nice days too. I think it's not as bad as Chicago, in the
Yeah.
winter, obviously. So I took advantage of that for sure. But yeah, so I had a few months of that. That was like 7 months of living lavish. Um, and
Living the
I,
big girl life.
yes. So I did fly back like weekly or, every other week. Cause I was really stressed about missing out on these moments. Like all my friends moved back from, like all my high school friends moved back to
Hmm.
Chicago and I didn't want to miss it. Like I was very adamant on getting my East Coast experience, like meeting new people, while also just making sure I was not setting roots there.
Yeah.
I really set on that, which is again, we touched on that before when they asked me to relocate or if I would be willing to. I knew I did not want to do that yet, and I wasn't ready for that. But
Hmm.
yeah, so that really helped, and then I think it made the transition to my second role when I had to come back home even worse because because I get like you live in college, you're in your apartment, you have all your friends around, by you, and then I have this apartment on the East Coast, awesome new place, exciting, and then you come home, and
Yeah.
it was a very tough transition, like I mentioned, like it took me a few months to actually get established in the role, especially because it started remote. So I was so sad. and and now I'm in a much better place. Like I don't want to move out at all because again, saving so much money. And then I realized, this is the main time I'm going to be closest with my parents, with my
Yeah.
sister. So I'm like, I want to take advantage of it. There's a lot of benefits. And in the beginning, when I moved back, everyone's, all my friends were like, oh, when are you going to move back? I feel like it's kind of looked down on if you do stay at home with your parents too long. And now I'm kind of
Hmm.
like, straight up telling them, I'm like, I am really actually, enjoying myself. We do have good boundaries, like you mentioned. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely
That's
not like
key,
how
I
it was
think.
in high school. Like, I can still go to the city, take the train in, So yeah, but that transition was so tough. And especially, your friends. So like I mentioned, my high school friends were back, but a lot of the college friends, they're in different areas and it was crazy because you're always able to text someone or walk to someone's house. Like I literally would walk into you and Sophie's apartment and be like, "Hello, I'm here."
Yeah, or just like
Like
coming home from the library or coming home from class, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go like do my homework at someone else's house," or like just go bother them,
exactly.
say
I'm like,
hi.
do you want to walk with me to get coffee? Like even if like
Yeah,
someone would be like, "Oh, I'm getting food," I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want," I already ate, but I'll walk with you. You
I'll
always
come
had
with you.
someone. So
Yeah,
that was also very tough because you're just you have so much more alone time. In general,
yeah,
even if you do live with your parents and stuff, you're just not getting the same thing. I don't know. I think weekends look really different now because I feel like I definitely plan ahead with people more often instead of
hmm,
doing something spontaneity isn't there anymore. But
yeah,
I think that was a very tough transition in general. And like on the East Coast, I was just so busy with my job that it was fine. I didn't think about it. Then I come back here and I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy that I can't just walk to someone's house and just be like, hey, how are you? You know what I mean?
Well, and
So
it's so weird because the weekends in college, it's like, okay, maybe on a Saturday morning we would wake up and like we'd walk uptown, we'd get coffee, or maybe we would like go get breakfast or something, or we'd be getting ready to like go do something social with friends, or like just going on a walk, or like there just were so many other like different opportunities in college. Whereas like now, I feel like my weekends, unless I have like a planned thing to do, it's just like, okay, text my parents. Do you guys want to go get brunch? Like,
that's cute though, and that's important. You're
yeah.
close to them, and you just got to take advantage of it. But
Yeah. It's just so different. It's just like, and it's not, I'm not trying to make it sound like so depressing or anything. I mean, it is sad, but like, I think that's why the transition is so hard for people because all of a sudden you're like, well, what do you mean? Like, I just spent 4 years of my life like doing whatever. And now, I mean, you can still do whatever, but it's just, like you said, your friends from college are so far away from you. And the people that you're used to seeing every single day are just like rolling out of bed with or like stumbling into their house. Like you're not
Yeah.
seeing them anymore.
Exactly. Like, I feel like for us even, like, we're not even that far and we still have to plan ahead. Like, we can't just be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, let me drive an hour and a half and let's hang out." You
Right.
know what I mean? But also I miss the walkability of the town. Like, I miss
Same.
we were just able to walk wherever, get coffee. My senior year, I barely drove. I left my car so I was in an apartment and we didn't have, like, set parking. So whatever you found, you were lucky. But I literally just left my car and keys with one of my friends that had a house, and he used my car honestly more than I did, and I was fine with that as long as I could keep it in his driveway. But it was funny because he'd be like, "Oh, you want to go drive 45 minutes to Panda Express?" I was like, "No, you guys can go."
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like, "I
if you
don't."
want to.
Exactly. So, and I had no issue with walking anywhere. So that's also something I miss that you don't really
That's
get
so
in the
true.
suburbs personally.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were if I was in the city, of course, that'd be different. But
Yeah. Definitely. So, okay. Well, anything else we want to touch on with the social aspect?
Um, you're also just way more drained, I think, tired. I especially like we talked about in the beginning of job, it's hard to get used to. I hope you just didn't hear my stomach growl. Did you just hear
No.
that?
No, we
Okay.
can't hear that.
Okay.
We cannot hear you. Oh my gosh. You're just way more tired.
Okay. Oh my god. We might cut that out, maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see if that's funny or not.
We'll see. We'll see.
That's funny. Okay, you're just way more tired. So again, on the weekends, we were living for the weekends in college, and now I'm kind of just like, I am actually okay with having a chill weekend.
Right?
But again,
Oh,
it's we're talking about this not to be depressing or not to make you not excited to graduate. I just wish someone told me to expect this when I
yeah.
graduated.
Yeah, that's so true because I feel like the transition for me was so hard because I had such high expectations of what my life would look like post grad, and not that my life like sucks, like it doesn't suck, but it's just very different. Like the lifestyle I'm living, the things I'm doing on the weekends, the way that I'm spending my time after 5 p.m. on the weekdays, like it just looks very different than I think what I expected. I don't know.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree because I told you about like I wanted to work in the city, live in the city, like briefcase girl, like trench coat, blah
Hmm.
blah
Put on
blah.
heels every day.
Yes, exactly. And I was so set on moving to the city. And then again, that's why I did not want to commit to relocating to the East Coast. And now I'm like, I'm okay in the suburbs. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm obviously gonna move out. Oh my god, if I don't move out, someone check in. Either I'm really
Check
bad with
in
my
with you.
finances. Either I'm really bad on my finances that I can't move out, or you're just
Or
I
there's
don't know what
something else
else.
going on.
Yeah. So check in. But yeah. But right now I'm content. I don't know. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very helpful for you to stay at home too. So that's
Yeah.
also
I mean, I
something
think
to
it's like, it's okay to live at home too. Like, I don't know. I felt like I was going to be such a loser for living at home. But then, like you said, there's so many benefits. I mean, those months that I was living at home, like for anybody listening who has student loans, oh my god, it was so amazing because I could just put a ton of money toward my student loans to help pay them off faster, or just like I could do a shopping spree and like not really feel guilty because I didn't really have anything else that I had to pay for, and sometimes I feel like people are like, oh, you live at home, like wow, like why don't you move out? And it's like,
yeah,
no, like it's okay to live at home right after college. I think it's becoming
exactly.
more and more like common too.
Definitely. Yes, especially with COVID and everything. I don't know. I think
Yeah,
have changed in my opinion.
definitely.
But do you have anything else in the social aspect that you want to touch on?
No, I think we can probably finish up the episode by talking about just like our advice for how we transitioned and like maybe if there's anything we did like picked up hobbies or tried new things that like helped us cope with it.
Definitely.
So, do you want to begin? Do you want to go first?
Yes. Yeah. So I think for me, I think this podcast honestly very like helps a lot. So I've always
Mhm.
wanted to have my own business. Like even through school, like I always talked about that and I just never knew what to do. Like I always started these little side things. Like if my friends are listening to this right now, they're like, yeah, she adored us so much with text. Like, oh, how does this look and stuff. And I think it really helped having you push me to do this and stay consistent with this. So I'm really excited
Mhm.
to see where this goes in general. So I always wanted like a side project, whether that was a business or just something else. I never knew exactly
Mhm.
what it was. So I think this has really helped and like gives you something outside of work to look forward to, because for work, you look forward to promotions, you look forward to finishing projects and doing well, but you need something outside of that for sure. So I think that
Definitely.
has really helped. And yeah, and I have had more time to work out in general compared to school. So that
Mhm.
has helped. And like even just walking while I'm working, I know that I talked about that. I think getting in shape is also another, has helped in general, just like another
Mhm.
goal. And then also, my last piece of advice is planning short travel trips. I know it's hard right now with COVID and everything, but I think it's definitely easier than how it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I like even if I took we're going to Boston actually for St. Patrick's Day, so I took Friday off, and
Ooh.
I cannot be more excited. I'm just even if it's like one day off, like a short weekend. I think this is the key. Even like when we planned, like we were going to Lake Geneva for a weekend, and we were going to go to that, and just hang out.
Yeah.
I was so excited for that too, and it's just like in the area. So it's just I think planning these little events. It doesn't have to be something crazy. Like I mean, I'd love to go to Barcelona for a week. Take my PCO.
Do a Euro trip.
Yeah, but I think that has also really helped. Just planning these smaller little events, and like again, like I said, with nowadays weekends, you need to plan a little bit more ahead. Like this Bullets game, we knew we were going for a month, so I was like kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
So I think that has helped. And
Yeah.
that's my advice to consider that for sure. Cause it's very easy to overlook, taking PTO or planning these trips in general. And honestly, you touched on it too, traveling alone, even if you don't have the ability maybe to get a group of people to go, just,
Mhm.
make it a priority to do that. But how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key to surviving life post grad is just to find um like just a variety of different things to have goals in, because when all you're doing is work, life can feel so boring. And I think especially coming right off from college, it's like, "Oh my god, what am I doing with my life? Like what is
Yeah.
going on?" And so, whether that's like starting something new or like putting yourself outside of your comfort zone of like what you would usually be doing. So, like for me, what I did right when I graduated was I joined a softball league with my parents.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask about that if you didn't talk about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I know that sounds kind of lame, but it was every single Monday after work. So that was kind of like another thing that I was able to look forward to. It was a softball league with like a bunch of people locally, so I got to meet new people, even if they weren't like immediately my age. Like it's just another social thing that I was able to look forward to. And then after we would like go to a bar, and so that was like something that I always got to look forward to. So that was softball, and then I also started to learn to play golf. So I'm not really a golf girly, not really that good, but my mom plays in a women's league on Wednesdays, and so I was like, oh, like that'll be a cute like mother daughter bonding thing. So we started doing that in the summers. So again, just like another thing to break up my week was playing golf and like looking forward to the golf league. And then we would do like little dinners after with like all the women in the golf league, and like everyone would bring something. So
That's
um,
cute. That's so
it
cute.
was so cute. And like the women are all different ages, like so funny. Actually, one of the women even dated Joe Biden. Like,
Oh my
isn't
God.
that crazy?
Really?
So, yes, when she was younger. So, it's just crazy because it's fun to like listen to all their stories, because there are definitely like some older women, like retired women, like wrinkly old
Oh my God.
like playing golf with me. Like I mean that in no like I don't mean that to be offensive, but they are pretty old. But it's just fun to like learn stories from them and like talk to different people. Like that's definitely not something that I did when I was in college. I like was able to be exposed to like all these different people. So yeah, and then
Definitely.
just oh geez, my charger just fell. Yeah, and
Uh-oh.
then just like the podcast, just if you can find something, whether it's a business or a sport or a hobby or just something that you can like have your own goals in on the side outside of work, I think that definitely helps.
Definitely. Because you did start a small business. You did it all. You did the sports, you did the small business, you did the
I
podcast,
really
you
just
did the
threw
social
myself into
media. Yeah.
it. Yeah, and it's fun. Like it's like a new thing that you get to learn about. Like I don't know if this is just a trait of engineers or maybe just a me thing, but I would get like so obsessed about like learning about something new, and it was a great way to not like distract me from my job, but like kind of like just give me more purpose to have, I guess. Like for the small business that I started, I got to learn all about like business taxes and how to start an LLC and like how to source product and how to market and like just new things that I didn't learn in engineering school and I wasn't going to learn in my job, you know?
Definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of my biggest pieces of advice, and just yeah, just try to put yourself outside of your comfort zone and say yes to things even if you think that's not something you would normally do. Like, oh my gosh, a softball league with my parents. I was like, this is so weird, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say yes because who knows what can come from it. So,
Definitely. That's good advice.
anything else we think we should touch on before we close off the episode? This was a good episode. I feel like
Yeah.
we really
I
got into
know.
it.
We just chit chat. We're just like outline, then we'll just go. But
Yeah. Well, there's so much we could talk about
yeah. So I
for
think
days.
I think the takeaway from this is it will be a tough transition, but just make sure to, have something outside of work that
Mm-hmm.
you're looking forward to, and it's, not going to be the same as undergrad was, but you know, it's okay because there are good parts as well.
And like, I think another thing to remember is everybody is going through it, because I think it's so easy to compare yourself on social media. Like, you might open Snapchat and you see everybody like on the weekends, or people who live in the city like going to parties or like, like doing all these things. And it can be so easy to compare yourself and be like, wow, like my post grad life, I'm living at home with my parents, and these people like moved to a new town and like started a new life. And it's so different than when I'm living. But I think you never know what those people are going through. Like they're only going to put the good parts of their lives on
Yeah,
social media. Like they could be going through struggles too. So just know that like
definitely.
everybody's going through it.
Yeah, because I think it's hard to see when you're working in an industry. I think we work, STEM in the, usually is an industry where you work with older individuals, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, like you said, it just makes it even harder to see and to meet people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Just because you have all these people that you work with that are just already established, and you're like, okay, they already have their routine, they already have made that, have gone through this transition. So I think that makes it also very hard to see that.
Yeah. All right. Should we finish up this episode?
Yeah, I think that was it. That's all I
I think
got.
that was it. I think that's all
Yeah.
we got. Um, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening, and be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. If you are able to leave a review on Apple Podcast, that would be amazing. I think it helps boost us in the charts or something, which just gives us the opportunity to reach more and more people to listen to this podcast, and hopefully we can help more and more people who are going through, the STEM industry and trying to navigate what it's like. So.
Yes. And once we hit 100 reviews or ratings, we will give a $100 Visa gift card um, out as a giveaway. So make sure you send in screenshots of your entry, which can be found in our bio on Instagram.
Yes, we have. If you go to our Instagram, and it'll be linked in the show notes too, just hit the link and a survey. You'll find a survey there. Just follow the instructions in the survey and submit your screenshot, and you will be entered in our giveaway. All right. I don't think I have anything else to add. I guess you guys could follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
That'd be
So,
nice.
so the podcast on Instagram and TikTok is my best friend's an engineer.
And then if you're listening on YouTube, you'll already have known this, but if you're not, we're also on YouTube, and that's at BFE Podcast. And then our personal socials, if you guys want to follow, mine is at Libby B on the label on Instagram and TikTok.
And mine is at Engineer Lexi on Instagram and TikTok.
Amazing. Okay, should we try to do this at the same time again?
Oh yes. So we don't
Our
have a video.
classic outro.
Yeah, we don't have a video on, so maybe we won't. It'll be better.
Maybe we won't mess it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm Lexi.
I'm Libby.
And thanks for listening to my best friend's an engineer. That was good.
That was better. That was better than the Q&A one. The Q&A one.
Oh my god, we were just...
bad.
Yeah.